Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I am Mark Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jake Lewitt.
And joining us is a man who knows a lot about Helsinki Hollandaise. It's John Levingood.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, John.
So, John, we're gonna get to the crux of it right now. In the movie, we see a menu in this movie, and it has French toast, Helsinki Hollandaise, and eggs Benedict. We want to know, John, about this Helsinki Hollandaise, and just do a breakdown. You did a lot of research here, so I'm gonna hand it over to you. Also, John, you can find him on John's Horror Corner, amazing Twitter, Instagram. Look for Movies from the Flicks, the website that I'm on. So, John, tell us about Helsinki Hollandaise.
Well, I saw this menu and that really struck me, right? Because immediately I thought, like, oh, well, isn't Rennie Harlan Finnish? Is he a big Finnish guy or is he a big Swede? I had to look it up. I had to remind myself.
He's
right,
Finnish and little things everywhere in a lot of his movies where he's representing Finland.
So he's Finnish.
All over the place.
So there were Finnish pancakes, right? And then there's eggs Benedict with Helsinki Hollandaise, and there's French toast, right? So when I first thought, I just thought, oh, Europe. And then I thought Rennie Harlan, but I'm a foodie, Mark. I really like looking into the stuff, and I'm usually hungry. It doesn't take much to make me hungry. So yeah, I looked it up, and Jay, I think, also came to a lot of the same initial conclusions I did, that when you look up Helsinki Hollandaise sauce on Google or just Helsinki Hollandaise, all you'll find are websites based in Helsinki or restaurants based in Helsinki that have something with Hollandaise sauce.
Hollandaise, yeah.
Right, with Hollandaise. But if you put it in quotes and you just search Helsinki Hollandaise, you get one page of Google results, and they are all for ordering pizza from what I gather to be 3 different pizza places, all in the western coastal states. That 2 of these places are in California, and one is one was in Sydney, yeah. And 2 are in California. One was in Washington. DoorDash.com. If you're ordering food safely for COVID right now, you can go to DoorDash.com in California and order a 13-inch Helsinki Hollandaise chicken pizza, and the same exact name in that same order you can find in Sydney. You can find at 2 other pizza places in the United States, and there's no explanation whatsoever for what this is. And so I started wondering, if it wasn't just Rennie Harlan that was directing this, who is this for? Because there are only so many people regularly on Aquatica. We already know a lot of them went home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just have our characters that we see before us. So who do
you think?
This is
the breakfast menu as well.
Right, just for breakfast. Who do you think he's making this for? Because there are 3 different items. He didn't say everyone gets French toast.
Yeah.
There's 3 different items. I think this came because either he knows them well or he had requests. And the first thing I thought of was Dr. Jim Whitlock.
Yeah.
Because even though he's Swedish, the actor, I thought that this was for him. I mean, what do you guys think? He's an academic. He probably travels to international conferences to give talks.
Yeah. Scoggins is doing cereal.
Oh, he's French toast.
Yeah.
Or cereal, right.
Susan McAllister's doing coffee.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Maybe,
she's coffee and one piece of toast kind of person.
Maybe like a slice of melon or something.
She has that anorexic chic look.
Janice is doing... Janice would eat that.
Yeah, I think she'd be used to it because she and Jim would probably have breakfast together often, so they'd do the same thing.
I think that she gets French toast and she has a couple bites of his.
Yeah.
Carter eats
protein
eggs.
shake.
Yeah. He comes down, gets some bacon and eggs. Let's see, Tower.
She has a name, Mark.
Yeah. So Brenda, she's gonna come down. She'll probably munch coffee.
Actually, Brenda having French toast.
Yeah, French toast. So
I think French toast is for our blue collars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that Helsinki Hollandaise is mostly just for Jim. Or I don't know, do you think that he's like Jim Whitlock? Jake Gyllenhaal?
So he's
Yanis.
Yeah. I think that sounds about right because I don't see Jim Whitlock eating French toast.
Not if there's other things on the menu.
What if these are the only choices too, right? This is all that's... These 3 things... That one dude is making these 3 things. He's pretty busy.
So who's having the Finnish pancakes?
Well, that's just it right now. So I had to think about that. But Finnish pancakes, if you look these things up, they have 18 different names for different preparations, by the way. Like kropsu, panukaku. Well, I'm sorry if I'm butchering this to all of our Finnish listeners.
It'll be Finnish there.
Some of these look crepe-like. Some of them are served like a thinner French toast.
It's not like a cake.
I saw a recipe online that literally classified this as a dessert. But it looks very French toasty or crepey, like with powdered sugar on it and like fruit chutney kind of things.
I mean, French toast is borderline dessert as well. You could argue it's if it's done in some ways with enough syrup.
These are more visually attractive.
Yes,
if you go on
absolutely.
Instagram, I now officially follow the hashtag Finnish Pancake on Instagram. There's only 1,300 posts ever, but I'm just waiting for the next one because they're gorgeous. These gorgeous things. So, and, I bet that's also a Jim Whitlock thing. But so I think that's for the people who are the French toasters, but they're like willing to be a little international today. They're willing to live on the edge and have the Finnish pancake. But I got to tell you what, everything comes back to Helsinki Hollandaise for me, man. So I did searches on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, and Google for Helsinki Hollandaise because it has to be a thing. Did they just make this up for these pizzas?
I guess. I think they did because the website, the restaurants that are selling it, they've got a different pizza for different places. They've got like Moscow Mexicana pizza. They've got a Rio garlic king prawn, a Stockholm spicy chicken. So I think they're doing like a kind of pizzas of the world kind of thing.
They're just throwing in Helsinki to capture the Finnish demographic.
Exactly. The alliteration.
Because it's the alliteration. They've got like a Denver's Dynasty pizza. So the actual pizza ingredients, it's streaky bacon and in-house marinated chicken with fresh spinach, onion, and cherry tomatoes, enhanced with delicious camembert cheese and creamy hollandaise sauce. Doesn't sound bad. I'm not a huge fan of cherry tomatoes, but other than that, I'm on board with that pizza.
Can I bring something up? It's a good day for them. This could be a very successful day.
Because it's Franklin's visiting day, right?
And yeah, exactly. So maybe they learn from Franklin what he likes.
Maybe he requested these things.
Yeah. That is a Finnish pancake guy.
Yeah, and so I think Susan McAllister too probably would eat a Finnish pancake on certain days. And I think Scoggins would probably eat a Finnish pancake he would take a fork, cut it in half, and just take two gulps.
He'd fold it in half like a sandwich and eat it with his hand.
He wouldn't appreciate it because he can't, because he's not refined enough.
He'd smear chunky peanut butter on it and then fold it in half and eat it like a 6-year-old.
I think he'd put ketchup on it.
Oh! You have your test going on, you have this, that, and the other. So I could totally see him just making a good smorgasbord for the crew. Like maybe he knows a lot of them are going to be drinking, so he wants to have some rich food waiting for them in the morning because a lot of people like to have
Susan's birthday.
Yeah. So he probably thinks maybe some good rich food will be good for people in the morning. So he's going to make that. But no, I think Whitlock's definitely the Helsinki Hollandaise Eggs Benedict for sure.
I had to find the origin of this. I had to find some meaning. So I went on Wikipedia and I found out that Hollandaise is what's called a mother sauce. And so like Béarnaise is a type of Hollandaise. Any cream, white wine reduction that you have on fish is technically a type of Hollandaise. Maltenier, noisettes, all these things. There's some Bavarian thing with like cream and horseradish and thyme. But there's like 50 different kinds. So I went to the Wikipedia pages of every single one of these, and I looked up for the word Finland and Helsinki on all of them, and I never found anything. Oh. And so I'm starting to think this doesn't exist. So I contacted Movies, Films, and Flicks advocate Neil, who has had a lot of he gets really into the polls with you.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like the 90s comedies. So he's like the number one critic that I know in the world. He's a foodie. He's a restaurateur, expert hollandaise maker, if we're going to credit that as something. And I was just asking him, like, Neil, I got to know what this is. I can't find this online. This is a podcast emergency. I want to know what this is. He's like, how much time do I have? I said, I'm recording in 20 minutes. This is today that I called him. I called him at work. And normally he's like, John, I got to go. But when I told it's like, dude, podcasting emergency. He's like, okay, all right, what is it? So he said, well, gosh, John, I never heard of that. And I told him all the things I searched, and I found nothing except for those pizzas, those ridiculous pizzas in Australia and California from DoorDash.com. And he said that he figured Then when he thinks of the iconography of the food of Finland, that it's probably like when you cook sardines down enough, they almost turn into like a pasty oil, and there's almost no remnant of physical food left, like chunk or anything. He figured you take something like a small salted fish and reduce it, and that somehow the sauce would use that for its flavor profile.
So that's really interesting you bring that up, because I have a lot of Swedish family, and they love their herring, their pickled herring.
Right, yeah, a little fish like that, in fact. Right.
And they eat pickled herring just out of the jar. Really, my Swedish family does. So maybe since Stellan Skarsgård as the Swedish descent, I don't know, like, I need to think of a better word. I can't think of it.
Vidlock.
Yeah. And he Preacher knows that, and then he makes, he kind of does that as a kind of, he calls it Helsinki, but I mean, like,
it's really
not
just
like Stockholm.
Disgusting fish sauce hollandaise.
Yeah, exactly. So he's calling it Helsinki and not like Stockholm sauce.
What foods would you like a Helsinki hollandaise? Something made with whipped egg yolk, oil, and heavily reduced pickled or salted fish paste.
On Eggs Benedict?
I'm not sold on the idea.
Do you think you could use this sauce with rice and some seasoned shrimp for like an etouffee kind of thing? It might be kind of fluffy. I wonder if this starts to go in that direction.
I was thinking more of a chicken with it, because I think there's a lot of flavors going on in that sauce. You need a more like a blander meat to go with it. I think you're putting shrimp in. There's too much flavor in shrimp. I think it's got to be chicken, maybe a pork.
I'll bet that Carter would eat 12 pounds of that a day as he was getting ready for The Punisher, because he put on like 15 pounds of muscle for The Punisher.
I think we got it here, right? Helsinki, Holland. It should be kind of like a reducted, like a salty fish,
a herring reduction.
Pickled fish.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think Neil, when Neil said that, I was repulsed and incredibly intrigued and impressed at the same time.
Then that means it must be correct.
Well, I appreciate you doing all this, John.
Do you think that there are other days that he produces 3 different entrees for one meal for the crew?
Well, I think it's such a special day that he did that, and he knew it was smaller. But when he has his more crew, it's probably more stock, eggs and bacon and cereal. But he'll make fancy things for Jim and Susan because they're the bosses.
And bear in mind, he made little cupcakes as well, little mini muffins.
On film sets, like, the director has his espresso machine, so they cook everything separate for the actors, the main like talent producers there. So he's making little crepes on the side for Susan and Jim, and then the rest of the crew get the other stuff.
Wait, Mark. Okay, Mark, I want you to pull the curtain a little bit on movie making for me. So the on set, there's going to be an espresso machine for the director.
I have been on sets with gigantic espresso machines, but only the creme de la creme can go to it. So the rest of the crew.
So people are told who can or can't go to it?
Yes. So at the 13th hour, when you're exhausted, I mean, there's still plenty of coffee. Like, you have to be fed. So you show up to set, you get your breakfast. 3 hours later, you get a snack. 3 hours later, you get your lunch. 3 hours later, you get a snack. And if you go 3 hours longer, you get a second dinner. Well, we're like hobbits. And so there's plenty of coffee on set. There is. But the really fancy stuff is for the upper echelon. So when everyone's, drinking their coffee, which is fine, you watch all the upper people drinking their espressos.
Have you, when you were a production assistant, did you ever get invited to have one of those?
Never.
Like when you were working like an Avengers movie or like a second unit Avengers movie shoot or something? Or
I knew my role, and I wanted to act like, so on set I acted like I never cared about anybody who was big or famous or that I wasn't getting espresso. I was just all business Mark. I never wanted to let it into me that I was really wanting some like espresso. Like, I was like, I love coffee, but I just want a shot of espresso. Like, just let me have that. It's not as weighty. Let me drink that. But I was always like, it's fine. And then like, hey, do you need some espresso? I can go get some for you. Like, so I never acted like it was too much for me. So like, I wouldn't have been jealous of Jim and Susan eating their fancy crepes. Finnish pancakes.
I want that now. If you do a Google, listeners, you might think I'm insane for talking so much